19th century man with his horses, dogs, carts, slow motion. Then, in the 20th century, speed up your camera. Books, cut short. Condensations, digest, tabloids, click, pick, whirl, bang, boom, whirl man's mind around, about, so fast that the centrifuge flings off all unnecessary, time-wasting thought. Everything boils down to the gag, the snap ending. These words were written by Ray Bradbury in his 1953 novel, Fahrenheit 451. And even decades later, they ring just as true today as they did then. Fahrenheit 451 presents this dystopian society in which books are banned and burned if found. And when I first heard this description, I pictured a textbook dystopia. Repressed society, miserable people, maybe rampant poverty. I was wrong. Aside from the unfortunate criminals who did own books, the people in Fahrenheit 451 were happy. They had lives, they were fulfilled, they prospered. But there was a layer of superficiality behind everything. So much of their life resided on their screens. For example, their entertainment, their escape, even people they considered their families. And Ray Bradbury explained that the issue that led up to books becoming obscure was not some dictatorship or unjust governmental ban, but in fact something that led society to wean itself off books. It all boiled down to one thing: a shortening attention span. Does that sound familiar? I'm banking on it. So, shortening attention spans are not a new issue. I mean, we talk about them tons, and I'm sure you guys know what consequences could be there. Poor professional performance, lowered cognitive ability. And while these are all extremely important, wait, what? I'm so sorry about that. For those of you in the audience that are very online or Gen Z, like me, you might have recognized that. People put clips of Subway Surfers gameplay or similar games next to their skits or short-form content to keep viewers drawn in. And this kind of measure has become something of a meme, a satirical symbol of our collective shortening attention spans. Well, simply put, an attention span is the amount of time your brain can focus on something before it gets bored or distracted. And research suggests that across various demographics in various contexts, attention spans are shrinking. I don't need to talk about the potential intrapersonal consequences. We all know. Increased stress, missed deadlines, maybe slipping grades. I know that I've faced all of these. I'm something of a professional procrastinator. But that's not the issue that I want to talk about today. So to get there, let's play a game. So I'm going to ask you all to put your hands up like this, one hand up like this. I'm going to describe an action, and if you've done it before, put a finger down. So if you've been on your phone while watching a movie or TV show on another screen, if you've stopped reading as much as you used to because you got bored, if you don't watch as much long-form content like movies or full-length YouTube videos as you do short videos, if you skipped through parts of a video to get to the point, and if you find yourself liking a video or short video, long-form, anything, if you find yourself liking something and then scrolling away without watching the full thing, I'm out of fingers. And as I'm looking into the audience, I'm seeing a lot of us are too. Some of you, I'm noticing, have maybe 4 or 5 fingers up, which is honestly amazing. But the majority of us have barely 1 or 2. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that shortening attention spans impact the way we consume media. And the way we consume media will impact the way we interact with the world around us. So nothing that I just talked about is entirely our fault. I mean, wherever we look, we're surrounded by quick, short, and often shallow content media. And I know that I, along with a lot of other people in this room, have been exposed to it from a very young age. But the problem is, as everyday media becomes shorter, snappier, the content starts to get condensed, and it starts to lose its nuance. Complex ideas may be presented as black and white, right or wrong, and the lines between opinion and fact may start to get blurred. As we start consuming more of this media, we get used to the instant gratification, the dopamine that it gives us. And so we start getting influenced. Our own minds follow suit. We start losing our desire to know and learn more, our desire to understand that lost nuance. Unfortunately, if we have access to a breadth of knowledge but not a depth, we lose our ability to come to meaningful conclusions. If we stop giving ourselves time to consume media properly, we stop ourselves from drawing any real value from it. Going back to Fahrenheit 451, Bradbury warned not necessarily about censorship, but about apathy. The content in front of people moved so fast that their brains simply didn't have enough time to care. Because to care about something, to care about it enough to learn more, to engage with it, to connect with it, it takes time, it takes effort, it's longer and slower and honestly more boring than the alternative, that quick hit of dopamine. And after realizing this, well, the problem becomes apparent. The issues surrounding public discourse today, like political topics, scientific discoveries, global conflicts, they're all extremely multifaceted. There's a variety of perspectives to consider, various factors that can come into play, decades of history to catch up on. And all that complexity cannot be expressed properly in a simple, short-form content. Now, this all sounds like, some kind of doomed narrative, some story that we all have to live in. And I felt that way too for a very long time. I felt my own attention span getting shorter and shorter. I found myself not being able to focus on, yes, schoolwork and assignments or long, boring movies, but also focus on things that were happening around me, important things that influenced my life and my parents' lives. So I'm here to tell you that, thankfully, there is a way that we can get to it. So I'm not going to lie to you, it's not an easy process. But the most important step to reshaping that ability to come to unique, creative conclusions, is to make a conscious effort of thinking critically about every piece of media you consume. Most of the time when we watch something, we watch it for entertainment, and it seeks to entertain us. But for the times that we don't, it's important to consider, what is this piece of media trying to get me to do? Is it trying to get me to agree with something? Maybe to buy something? To like and follow and subscribe to something? Is it trying to get me to think and feel a certain way? Now, whether those thoughts and feelings are justified, whether they're correct or not, or whether there even is a correct thought or feeling, that's your own judgment. But realizing that there's layers, realizing that there's nuance behind the media we consume is the most important first step. As I said, it's not going to be easy. My own progress is extremely bumpy. Just while working on this speech, I found myself working for 5-10 minutes and then scrolling for the next half an hour. But there were two realizations that helped push me through the slog. Firstly, I was afraid. I was afraid of not being able to focus on what was in front of me, and afraid how that was going to impact me going forward with grades and the like. But I was also afraid of being misinformed, of not knowing enough. I was afraid of being an irresponsible citizen and not knowing what was happening around me. I was afraid of not being able to think for myself. And that fear was more powerful than any boredom or difficulty that the process brought otherwise. But my second realization was that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only one facing this boredom and this difficulty. In fact, this is something that the whole world has gone through. The media impacts all of us. And so maybe to better myself, I didn't need to take on or assign any blame. I just needed to take action. The way that we consume media influences everything. Our own personal thoughts and beliefs, yes, but also public perception. After all, we are all the public. We are all the constituents of our society. And so, it's important to realize that an attention span has more significance than just how much time you can spend working on an assignment. In fact, it shapes our ability to interact with the things in front of us. It shapes our ability to learn. And doing so, it shapes our very ability to think. The centrifuge that Ray Bradbury described, it's subtle but pervasive. But we don't have to live in it. Depth will lead to thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness will lead to empathy. And empathy to action. And all of that will take time. But in the meantime, I leave you with this. Sometimes speed is of the essence. Sometimes instant gratification is worth it, needed even. But it will never be worth more than our intellectual capacities and our abilities to think. So, I thank you for paying attention.